So, this week is swirling with rumors of Trump banning Bitcoin and news that France is planning to categorically block Facebook's Libra coin from entering the EU. So, to shed some light on this, we are joined once again by Monday Morning's Dave Zeiler. Welcome back, Dave.
Good to be here.
So, let's start with some of the sensationalism around Trump this week. What started these rumors, and is there really any truth to them?
Well, Trump didn't say anything about it himself. He has been negative on cryptocurrencies in the past, but this time it was started by a Wall Street analyst, this Tom Lee. He's from Fundstrat. He's a fairly well-known analyst. He's a regular stock guy who got interested in cryptocurrency. He appears frequently on the TV, financial channels like CNBC. And he put out a tweet, and he was looking at what's going on with the e-cigarettes, how the FDA and the Trump administration says, we're just going to ban these flavored e-cigarettes because they're bad, people are dying if the kids are using them. And he's like, well, if it's that easy to ban e-cigarettes, then what's to stop the Trump administration from banning Bitcoin if they don't like it? And that triggered a whole series of articles and reaction, and people were like, oh my God, what if Trump banned Bitcoin? So it, raises these questions. Is this something we should be worried about? And I don't really think it is, because first of all, it's very hard to ban Bitcoin. They could make it harder to use because they do have control over the various exchanges, at least in the US, and places where you would buy it, like Coinbase, which is one of the biggest ones. But also even, the Gemini that the Winklevoss twins operate. They would be able to prevent you from buying it easily, but you could still get it probably from places outside the country. And you could still move it back and forth, between users. Yeah. So that's, you would slow it down, it would be a problem, the price would go down a lot, you really can't stop it. So the next question is, would they do it? Is this something that would actually happen? And I don't think it would, because especially as one of the people commented, they said, well, I think maybe 100,000, if Bitcoin reached 100,000, that would be the trigger that would cause such a ban to happen. And Tom Lee in the Twitter thread agreed. It's like, yeah, I think that's probably true, which was another thing. But if that actually happened, if Bitcoin gets that high, we've already got so many people invested in it, regular people, institutional investors. You've got futures trading. I find it hard to believe that the Trump administration would all of a sudden say, okay, we're just going to ban this, because it would create havoc, and there's really nothing to be gained. I don't understand why you would want to ban it. There's really no advantage to it.
Yeah. So, just to sum up, you are not concerned about this?
I am not concerned. I think there's a very, very, very low chance of it happening.
All right. So, turning across the Atlantic, France recently doubled down on its harsh stance against Facebook's Libra coin. What did they say about that, and kind of what's your take on it?
Yeah, well, the finance minister came out and repeated basically what we've heard before, and that there's no way that they're going to allow Facebook's Libra coin to be used in the EU. He just flat out said this is not happening, we'll never let it happen, and they're very worried about the progress they've made, things like money laundering and terrorist financing, which they've been able to crack down on that with the fiat currencies, and they're like, they just don't need a whole other currency that they can't control and would have a difficult time regulating. They feel like it would open up all these problems again. Plus, I believe that they're also very concerned about losing control, because they wouldn't control Facebook's coin, and they use the currency, the central banks use it to manipulate the economy, they lower interest rates, they wouldn't have any control over what's going on, especially if it gained a lot of traction and it was competing with the fiat currencies. So that's just one more thing. I mean, you can see that all of the governments and central banks have pretty much been in lockstep on this. They've all more or less said the same thing. So I'm beginning to doubt that thing's ever going to get off the ground. The whole Libra project almost looks like it's just going to be stillborn.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining us again and kind of giving some clarity on this week's news for cryptocurrencies. We'll see you next week.
Okay. See you then.